Hi, and welcome.
To Engineer for the Week.
In this webinar, we're going to explore
Chatbots for change.
We're so excited to be here with you today. We want to start with a quick introduction. I guess I'll start. My name is Phil, and I'm the Partnerships Manager. I work with all of you to make sure that you have everything you need to run EFTW at your sites.
And my name is Jen. I am the Program Manager for EFTW. I oversee overall program strategy and implementation, and I am the most excited about bringing EFTW to different parts of the world.
Hi, I'm Dion. I'm an instructional designer at EFTW. I work on updating the content materials in our project guides, and I'm super excited to share this project with you.
Hi, I'm Terrence. I'm an EFTW ambassador that supports various EFTW sites via phone, email, and our EFTW Facebook group.
Awesome.
Before getting into our Chatbots for Change information, I first want to go through some housekeeping measures with our agenda and logistics. In the first 5 minutes, we'll be talking about our vision and mission, as well as going through our facilitator checklist. In our next section, we'll be spending the bulk of our time going through a project walkthrough. We'll be going through an overview, a roadmap. We'll also talk about how to use the guides and walk you through an activity on Chatfuel. In the last section, our wrap-up, we'll be answering some of your frequently asked questions and talking about any next steps.
All right, we're going to jump into the program overview. The vision for our program is that we believe in a world where all learners have equitable access and opportunity to build their futures. And to do that, this brings us to our mission. The mission of Engineer for the Week is that we support historically underrepresented learners to explore engineering, develop computer science skills, and gain awareness of different career paths.
So you may be asking yourself, who are EFTW facilitators? That's a great question. EFTW facilitators come from all backgrounds. We have some folks who are program coordinators, who are nonprofit organization members, teachers, and even parents. And so wherever you come from, we welcome you as a facilitator. There are some attributes that all of our facilitators must have, though. And so if you take a look at the facilitator checklist, you need to be 18 years or older. You'll also need to have any number of learners between the ages of 11 and 18. For Play for Impact, 11-18 is the right age range. However, for Chatbots for Change, you'll need learners between the ages of 13 to 18. And that's because they'll need access to certain tools that will require them to be 13 years or older, like Facebook. Next, you'll also need a minimum of 15 instructional hours with your learners. For new facilitators, you might want to budget a little bit more time than that, so somewhere between 16 to 18 hours. For returning facilitators, you should be fine with anywhere between 15 to 16 hours of instructional time. Additionally, we have access to internet-enabled computers. This is important because all of our projects are hosted on a web browser. So you'll need Google Chrome or Safari, a web browser that will allow you to browse the internet to be able to access our projects. Next, you'll be choosing between two projects. We have Chatbots for Change and Play for Impact. So you should discuss this with your learners and also review some of our materials, so that way you can make the best decision about which project you want to pursue. Lastly, we have a belief that all learners should have equal opportunities to build their futures. While this is last, this is certainly not least. We expect and hope that all of the learners feel that they can pursue STEM as a career option or even as just a field of interest. You also may be asking yourself, when is EFTW? EFTW is typically offered in the fall and the spring, but check our website. We have a lot of information there. You can register there as well as ask us any questions that you might have about the program.
All right, it's time to explore the project Chatbots for Change. So at a high level, what are the learning objectives? By completing this project, you and your learners will discover the world of engineering and work collaboratively on a tech prototype. You'll understand the foundations of chatbot development. You'll identify and apply the 5 principles of chatbot design: purpose, tone, style, flow, and actions. And you'll explore how chatbots for change can address a topic that you care about to make a positive change in the world. So you might be wondering, what is a chatbot? And a chatbot is a computer program that uses rules and artificial intelligence to have a conversation with users using text, images, and videos. And artificial intelligence refers to this idea that we can try to create programs that seem human so that the conversation is more natural. And more generally, chatbots belong to a category called virtual assistants that are helping us with everyday tasks. For example, Amazon Alexa or Apple Siri. And if you're wondering why this is an interesting topic for your learners, I think the field of virtual assistants is growing very quickly. And over the next few years, virtual assistants are expected to become really sophisticated. I think it's a really exciting field to be a part of, and your learners might even help with that development. What are the setup requirements for this project? As a time commitment, we do ask for 15 plus hours of implementation and 5 to 10 hours of preparation. So if you've facilitated EFTW in the past, or you have a lot of experience as a facilitator, you're probably looking at the lower end of this range. Whereas if this is your first time with EFTW, or maybe even first time as an educator, you're probably looking at the higher end of this range. Learners should be between the ages of 13 and 18. And the reason for this is that to set up a Facebook account, which you'll need for the project, you need to be 13 or older. So it does have a few setup steps early on with Facebook and Chatfuel, which is the platform you'll use to build your chatbot. So if you're looking to facilitate a project with younger learners, we encourage you to check out our other project, Play for Impact, which is for ages 11 through 18, and you don't need to create a Facebook account for that project. Now, onto the project materials. You'll be primarily working with our instructional guides and the videos found there that are provided after registration. You will need a Google account to access program documents on Google Docs. You will also need a Facebook account to build a Facebook page and access Facebook Messenger and Chatfuel, both to build your chatbot, but also to test it and see it in action. You will need to create a free Chatfuel account to build a chatbot from scratch. And if you're facilitating virtually, you will need to feel comfortable with a virtual platform like Zoom, Google Classroom, etc. Now I'm going to pass it over to Terrence, who's going to talk a little bit about a chatbot that he actually worked on with his learners and what the goal of that chatbot was.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terrence. I'm from the Howard Area Community Center Clubhouse. That was our team's name, and we created the Hack 3 Academia Bot. The goal of the Academia Bot was to go ahead and be supportive to high school counselors who have like so many students that they have to keep track of. And what the bot is supposed to be able to do is really help the high school students that are pursuing colleges, complete FAFSA applications, scholarships, and it even gives info for youth to start small businesses for pursuing those grants if they're available. So just to go ahead and let you know, this project right here is an iteration. We don't let our projects just die after we make them or put them into a competition. This project can still be utilized, and it actually has live scholarships that you can apply to get ready for different colleges for the 2021 fall.
Thank you, Terrence. This is an amazing project. I love the mission of trying to help out counselors connect students with all kinds of scholarships available. This is an amazing topic and one example of many topics that are out there that you can choose to develop your chatbot for change. All right, so a really big question we get is what is included in the guides? And so for this project, we have 2 guides available. The Facilitator Guide, which is the primary guide you'll be using, and this contains all the resources, the strategies, and the learner activities that you need to facilitate the project. And we also have an optional learner guide, which includes all the videos and project examples for easy learner access. So if you facilitated EFTW in the past, you will notice a difference. We tried to simplify the facilitator experience. If you facilitated EFTW in the past, you will notice a difference. We tried to simplify the facilitator guide. Before, you needed both guides side by side to facilitate the project. And now you have everything you need to get started in the facilitator guide. So what better way to show you the guides than to actually show you? And here is our brand new 2021 Facilitator Guide for Chatbots for Change. So you'll notice on the left-hand side, the different sections of the project. And at the very top, there's a project overview section, which includes useful information for you to review before facilitating the project. And the main project is divided into 3 phases: the prep phase, the sprint phase, and the finish phase. And I'll touch on these in just a moment. So if we start here with the EFTW overview section and we scroll down a little bit, we'll find the project objectives. And I want to quickly touch on each of these because I think they're such an important part of the experience. So by completing this project, you and your learners will gain engineering experience. And so often engineers have this first product they build that help them realize their love for building things. So we hope EFTW is a friendly introduction to the world of engineering. Learners will build a working tech prototype and learn some key engineering concepts along the way. You'll also have this experience of engaging in sprints, which are these intense periods where you break down work into smaller phases, and this allows you to make gradual improvements from concept to completion. You'll also have this wonderful opportunity to connect with Facebook engineers and learn all about their career journeys and ask them questions about how they got started as engineers. And finally, no pun intended, but at the heart of this project is this idea of creating projects with purpose. So you'll work on developing engineering solutions to issues that truly matter to you. So anything from online bullying to mental health, you can really choose the topic that you want to address to make a positive change in the world through your Chatbot for Change. So scrolling down a little bit, you'll find the Certificate of Completion and Impact Award info. I think a really exciting part of this program is that when learners complete their project, they receive a certificate of completion signed by Facebook. And in addition, every team will have the chance to win the EFTW Impact Award, which is an opportunity to donate $1,000 to a nonprofit organization of their choice. So through your hard work, you'll be able to benefit an organization that is doing really meaningful work. Now, below that, you'll find the project roadmap. And this is a great place to come to kind of get an overview of the lessons included in the project and also start thinking about how you might schedule the different activities and lessons throughout your experience. So as mentioned, the project is organized into 3 phases, each with about 3 to 4 sections. So in the prep phase, you and your learners will explore the world of engineering, create an engineering team, learn about chatbots, learn about how chatbots can create change, and set up your development environment with all the tech tools you'll need to start creating your chatbot. In the sprint phase, you'll work on designing, developing, and testing your chatbot. This is really where the project magic happens. And finally, in the finish phase, you'll reflect on your experience, both on the product you created and the engineering process that led you there. You'll also submit your project to Facebook for a chance to win the EFTW Impact Award, and you'll explore other resources to continue developing the chatbot and explore pathways into engineering. So feel free to come back here and take a look at the detailed roadmap to see how you might be able to fit this into your current program. Next, let's check out the Facilitator Preparation section. So one really important thing to know about this project is that all the worksheets are available as Google Docs. And so you will need to have a Google Drive account. It's very easy to set up one if you don't already have one. And I want to show you what this actually looks like. So if I click here on the Google Drive folder for the Chatbots for Change project, you'll see all the documents you'll need to facilitate the project. And a really important document you'll be working on with your learners is called the design statement. And this is a document where you're going to describe and define your Chatbot for Change. So what is its name? What topic does it address? Why is that topic important, etc.? Now, to share this with your learners, you would first make a copy of it and save it in your own Google Drive account. So that way you can share it with all of your learners and they can go in and edit it collaboratively in real time, which means that you'll always be able to see the latest edits. And you'll need this document to submit your project when you're done implementing Chatbots for Change. All right, going back here, there are a few more things I want to touch on. Something that is important to know is that all the learner activities are divided into 3 categories. So when you see an engineering activity, you'll know it's time to guide learners in a hands-on activity to apply engineering concepts to practice. When you see a regroup and discuss activity, you know it's time for learners to get together and discuss important ideas, maybe start a reflection. And finally, the guided exploration activities are an opportunity to guide your learners with questions and prompts to help them explore a new topic. Okay, as mentioned, you do have the possibility to share the learner guide with your learners. And again, this simply is a way for them to access all the videos and all the project examples in a single link. But you can also choose to go through the facilitator guide and share out the resources and links as you encounter the different videos and project examples. So this is totally optional if you also want your learners to be following along on the learner guide. Finally, we know that many of you are facilitating this project virtually. And so throughout the guide, you'll find suggestions on how to implement the activities online. We do recommend that you use a video conference platform that you feel comfortable with, like Zoom or Google Meet. That allows you to share your screen and engage your learners throughout the project. So keep an eye out for the virtual tips icon in each lesson plan if you're a virtual facilitator. All right, I want to show you now what a lesson looks like in the prep phase. So I'm going to jump here to number 1, what is engineering? And at the very top, you'll see a general lesson plan for you as a facilitator. And this includes the lesson objectives. For example, in this one, learners discover the world of engineering and reflect on what engineers do. It also includes some big ideas that we hope you'll kind of think through and take away from this lesson. For example, youth often have stereotypes of engineers that discourage them from pursuing an engineering career. For example, they might think engineers have to look a certain way or come from a certain background, and that is totally not true. So engineers come from all different backgrounds. They have very different skills and interests. And so this is an opportunity to show learners that if they are curious about engineering, they have absolutely everything they need to get started. You'll also find the lesson materials. In this case, there's a video that we encourage you to watch. You'll find some general setup tips. For example, if you're doing this in person, we recommend a U-shaped classroom so that you can kind of get a conversation started more easily. If you're doing this virtually, Zoom is preferred since you can do breakout rooms, but you can also use GoToMeeting, Google Meet, etc. You'll also find some general tips and strategies that apply to the entire lesson. For example, promoting psychological safety. So this refers to this idea that when you're starting a new project, and in general, learners should feel safe taking risks and sharing their ideas with others. And so we really recommend that you take a little time at the beginning and say, hey, everybody, we're about to start this project. What should we do to make sure that everyone feels safe in the space and, that we can respectfully share ideas with others? You'll also probably want to promote equal opportunities for sharing ideas. So some learners are naturally more outspoken than others. And particularly through Zoom, some learners might be really shy. So you really want to encourage everyone to have an equal opportunity to express themselves so they can all take advantage of the project. Below this general lesson plan, you'll find the learner activities. For example, this is the first learner activity called Meet an Engineer. And here you're sharing this wonderful story that Barbara shares about how she first got started with engineering and how empowered she felt when she built her first program and realized how she could build larger things. So after this video, we offer some suggested questions to spark a discussion. For example, what motivated Barbara to become an engineer? Based on what Barbara shared, what do you think defines an engineer? Following the same lesson, I want to quickly touch on 1.2 as well, because we get a lot of questions about this. So in 1.2, you will break up learners to form engineering teams. And these are groups of up to 4. They'll be working together over the next few weeks to develop a chatbot. And a question we often get is, can engineering teams be larger than 4? And we typically discourage it because 1, it's harder to manage larger groups. But 2, I think the collaboration and the work gets diluted when you have engineering teams that are bigger than 4. So we really think that a 3 to 4 is kind of the sweet spot for having lots of opportunities to contribute to the project, but also having opportunities to discuss and brainstorm ideas with the team. Another question we get is, can we have engineering teams with a single person? And the answer is yes. We have had sites that have successfully facilitated individuals in completing this project. This is particularly true when those individuals don't have access to other peers to work on it. And so there, you'll just want to make sure that you give them plenty of feedback along the way, so they still have a chance to bounce ideas with someone else. Now, throughout this experience, you will play the role of a product leader, which is actually a common role in the engineering practice. And this person makes sure that engineering teams keep track of their goals and advance through the different stages of their sprint. So exciting. Hello, product leader. We're super excited that you're facilitating this project. Now, together, you will form what's called an EFTW team. And here's a neat graphic you can share with your learners to illustrate how you'll all be working together to develop a chatbot for change. Now, I would love to explore all the lessons included in this project guide, but that would take a really long time. So I want to quickly jump to one more in the sprint phase to talk a little bit about chatbot design principles. So I'm going to jump here to number 6, design a chatbot for change. And I'm going to jump straight to 6.1, chatbot design principles. I think a really exciting part of this project is, yes, learners will be getting very hands-on with building a tech prototype, but they'll also be learning about chatbot design principles, which I think is a really exciting topic. So you'll be working on 5 chatbot design principles. Purpose is the chatbot's goal. So what is its purpose? Why are we building this chatbot? What change is it going to create in the world? Tone is how your chatbot expresses itself in language and writing. So you'll have to think about, what tone will we use when we design the chatbot? Will it be friendly, humorous? Will it be emotional, or all of the above? Style refers to a chatbot's visual personality. So because chatbots are not physical living things out in the world, they can still express some sort of visual personality. And you can achieve this by using images, GIFs, emojis, and other visual elements in the conversation. So you'll be thinking about how to include art and maybe graphics as your chatbot engages with users. Flow is this idea of how users navigate a conversation with the chatbot. And you'll be spending a lot of time thinking through, how does the conversation move forward once our chatbot starts a conversation with a new user? What are the options we give to the users to continue learning more about a topic? And actions refers to this idea that your chatbot and your users can both take different actions during a messaging experience. Your users may be able to click buttons or type text or choose from a menu of options. And so this is really important for you to design ahead of time so you can create the best messaging experience possible. So to illustrate what the actual learner activity looks like, if you come here, you'll see 6.2, which is design your chatbot for change. And this is an opportunity that will guide your learners step by step in all of these chatbot design principles. So for example, for the first one, in defining a chatbot's purpose, you'll need to identify a challenge. And the challenge we identified is, how can we help save the planet from the effects of climate change, which could affect millions of people and animals in the near future? And so from that came our purpose, which is our chatbot will help raise awareness on the effects of climate change and inspire people to take care of our planet. The next step in this chatbot design principle would be to come up with a name. So our name was Save the Planet Bot, but depending on your topic, you may obviously have to think through what a useful name is for the chatbot and for your Facebook page. And there's another really important step here, which is empathizing with users. And this means imagining yourself in their shoes. So engineering teams will have to spend a little bit of time thinking about what their ideal chatbot users are and what characteristics define them. So you might have to think about how old are the users, what are their primary interests, how can our chatbot help them deal with the challenge we identified? How can we best create a sort of a tone and a messaging experience that is aligned with the people that we're trying to serve? All right, so again, I'd love to go through all of these, but unfortunately, we don't have time. So I want to jump now to share a little bit more about the setup steps required for building a chatbot. All right, and in this next part of the webinar, I'm going to answer the question of how do we get set up to build a chatbot? So the first step is you'll need to create a Facebook account if you don't already have one. And we get a lot of questions about this. I know there's some privacy concerns around youth using Facebook, or potentially you might feel uncomfortable using your educator account or your personal account for this project. And so I want to answer a few questions that come up on this topic. The first is that if you don't feel comfortable linking your personal Facebook account to the project as a facilitator, you can easily create a new Facebook account. You'll need to provide a different email address and follow the steps provided. And then you'll have a Facebook account that you can use to facilitate the Chatbots for Change project. In some cases, we have seen learners be able to link their own Facebook accounts. In other cases, we have facilitators share a single Facebook account with all their learners so that they don't have to create an individual account. So it really depends on kind of the privacy concerns that you might have, or if learners already have an account and they feel comfortable linking it to the project. The next step is to create a Facebook page. And again, it can be a single account that is creating the Facebook page for the entire team. And so if you go to that top menu, there's a create button, or now I believe there's a plus sign. You click on that and you'll be able to create a new Facebook page. The next step is to add a send message button. So there are a few different options for this button. In some cases, some organizations may want to link their phone number or some other form. In our case, because we're linking a chatbot, we'll want to add a send message button so that when users visit our page, they can quickly send us a message and get that conversation started. So let me show you what this looks like. Here is our Save the Planet Bot Facebook page. And as you can see, we added a nice banner image. We have our page icon. We have a name, Save the Planet Bot. And there's this blue button that we can click on to get a conversation started. Once you have a Facebook page, you'll want to create a Chatfuel account. This is a free platform that lets anyone start building their chatbots and linking it to a Facebook page. And I'll show this in just a moment. And once you create a Chatfuel account, you want to create a new blank bot by clicking on the blue button at the top right. And the next step is to test your starter bot on Facebook Messenger. If you're not familiar with Messenger, this is just the messaging engine that Facebook uses to manage all the Facebook messages. So let's try it out. Because I published my Facebook page and I linked it to a chatbot, I should be able to find my Facebook page, Save the Planet Bot, by creating a new message and starting a conversation with the chatbot I linked. So I'm going to click on Get Started and let's see what happens. And great, the chatbot is typing. It greets me by my first name. That's great. It explains its purpose and also tells me its name. And it asks me a starter question. What topic am I interested in learning about today? And I can see I have a few options with some images, global warming, endangered species, and deforestation. Of course, all of these are related, but it's nice that I have a choice in which one I'm most interested in learning about. So I'm going to click on endangered species, learn more. Now the chatbot is typing again. It tells me that climate change is affecting different species around the world. And it gives me a bit more choice here. So now I can choose the animal category that I'm most interested in learning about today. And we've got tropical rainforest, savanna, and oceans. I actually love ocean species, so I'm going to click on Learn More. And here I get a message, what happens next, which, as you can imagine, I created so that we could continue this activity. So now I'm going to jump over to Chatfuel and show you what's happening behind the scenes and also give you a sense of how you build a chatbot using the Flow Builder tool. All right, so here I'm at chatfuel.com. I'm in my dashboard. And as you can see, I have this Save the Planet bot already created. So I'm going to click on this. And as you can see, my Save the Planet bot Facebook page is linked to this chatbot. So that's great. And on the left-hand side, under automation, I see this Flow Builder tool. So let's click on that to give you a sense of what's going on behind the scenes. And this is actually what my chatbot looks like. So this is the Flow Builder tool that lets anyone create a chatbot experience by using a few different elements. So before we jump into that, I want to explain a few important concepts. Flow, again, refers to how users navigate a chatbot's conversation. And you can think of it as a decision tree, where the root is the starting menu. It's what you click on to get started. So you might have a few different options available. And then as users click on different options, you get new branches of that chatbot conversation. And the more branches you have, the more complex the conversation becomes. And also the more detailed information you can provide to a user. So now think of a human conversation. Every conversation usually starts somewhere and also usually ends somewhere. What happens in the middle can be really messy. But with a chatbot conversation, we have to be really organized so that we can provide the best messaging experience for our users without them getting lost or confused. Now, in Chatfuel, you'll mostly be working with cards and blocks. Cards are the basic elements that your chatbot uses to interact with your users. So text, buttons, images, videos, etc. And blocks are vertical stacks of cards grouped together. So you can think of the analogy of a human conversation where you group several words together to form sentences. In Chatfuel, you group several cards together to form blocks, and that's a way of helping users navigate the conversation. And finally, you need connectors that are lines that connect blocks together in Chatfuel. And this shows the bot where to take the user next. So if they click on option 1, then I want to link that to the next message. You have to be really explicit about connectors so that the chatbot doesn't have to guess how to keep moving the conversation forward. All right, so coming back here to my Flow Builder tool in Chatfuel, I can kind of follow along visually where we ended up with our previous conversation. So first I clicked on endangered species, and that took me to a new set of options. Then I clicked on oceans, and the final message we got to was what happens next. So I'm going to demonstrate how you would continue building the conversation. For example, if a user clicks on oceans, maybe I want to add a little bit more information. So I'll say, did you know that ocean species are more vulnerable to climate change than land animals? And here I might want to add a few options that the user can click on. So for example, I'm going to add a button that says, that's scary. And I'm going to create a new send message block that I can add more cards to. Another option might be, how can I help? Right? This might be a user that's really enthusiastic, wants to know right away how to contribute. And so again, I'll link this to another send message block, and I can start adding more cards. Now for the that's scary part, I can come here and add cards, and I'm going to add text and buttons. And in this case, maybe I want to empathize with the user because they chose a more emotional response. And I might say something like, ugh, I know. Would you like to learn how you can help? And again, I might add some additional buttons maybe some images, some GIFs. So hopefully this gives you a good sense of how you start adding blocks and cards and connectors. Now let's just test this very simple send message block that we created just now. So if I go back to Messenger and I go back to the last part of our conversation and I click on Oceans again, this time, instead of the what happens next message, I get the new message I just created. Did you know that ocean species are more vulnerable to climate change than land animals? And now I can click on that's scary or how can I help? So hopefully this gave you a better sense of what's included in the guides and how you use the different tech tools, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, and Chatfuel to build your chatbot for change. And remember, you don't need previous experience programming. You can build it all using the Flow Builder tool, which is a very intuitive and visual tool to create a messaging experience.
All right, I can't believe we're already at the wrap up. In this section, we're going to talk through and answer some of your frequently asked questions. So the first question is, what do you get from this program? Learners are going to explore real-world engineering concepts. I think that's an amazing opportunity, especially at this early stage of their learning. Then they're going to get a chance to meet with a current Facebook engineer. That conversation, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is where they get a chance to speak with a Facebook engineer about the industry of engineering, and then also get an inside look at what those engineers might do during their day-to-day. Additionally, you all have the opportunity to win a $1,000 donation for a nonprofit of your choice. So once you submit your project, you'll be automatically entered to win that $1,000, and you'll donate that money to another organization. We'll talk a little bit about that later. The next question, what is the timeline for the program? Facilitators can register on our website during any open registration window before the next sprint begins. Typically, we run in the fall and the spring, as I said earlier in our session, but you can always use our guides to run EFTW, even if we're outside of a formal sprint season. So if you find yourself in the summer and you're looking for a really awesome STEM program, you're in the right place. You can still use our guides, but we won't be running a full sprint. So feel free to reach out to us using the Contact Us form if you have any questions about that. Next, what are the qualifications of a facilitator? Facilitators should be comfortable managing a cohort, right? So you're going to have a group of kids, or you might have a couple of kids. And so managing a cohort and guiding them through the lesson plans will be important, which brings me to my next point. Navigating the lesson plans is going to be critical. We have a number of lesson plans that will help you understand how to run the program. Lastly, we have learning with your learners. I really believe that showing a level of vulnerability will help your learners understand what the learning process looks like. Not everything is buttoned up. Not everything is pretty. Sometimes it takes really rolling up your sleeves and engaging with the material to learn something. And so doing that with your learners is always an awesome opportunity. Next, what type of supports are available to me during the program? We offer 1-hour trainings like this webinar that will walk you through the projects in greater detail. And you'll also have access to our private EFTW Facebook group. So if you go onto Facebook and you type in the search Engineer for the Week, you'll find our facilitator group. In that group, we have facilitators who share best practices. They ask questions, and the EFTW staff will be right with you in answering some of those questions, as well as getting support from our facilitator ambassadors, who are experienced facilitators and have amazing experiences to share with you all. So in the last slide, I mentioned an opportunity to meet with a Facebook engineer. This program is called Tech Connections. Tech Connections is an opportunity for your learners to meet virtually for 45 minutes with a Facebook engineer. I truly believe that our learners make decisions about their futures based on what they see. This is an opportunity for learners to see an engineer and hopefully make a decision about their future based on this interaction, this positive interaction. So I encourage you to sign up for Tech Connections. It is an amazing experience that I think your learners will thank you for years to come. Next, we have the Impact Award. You know, our project names are Play for Impact and Chatbots for Change. Not only are students creating projects that will create change, but they will also impact and create change through the award that they receive. The $1,000 donation to a nonprofit of their choice is a way for learners to understand what it means to pay it forward. This award is granted to folks who submit their projects by the end of the sprint. If you find yourself outside of a sprint season, unfortunately, the Impact Award will need to be awarded during a sprint. So you'll need to submit those projects at that time. Next steps. If you're ready to implement, we implore you to register. Go to our website, engineerfortheweek.fb.com. Again, engineerfortheweek, one word, .fb.com, and register as a facilitator. We'd love to know where you are. We'd love to know what you anticipate facilitating. And from there, we want to make sure that you have everything you need to run the sprint. So registration is important. Lastly, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Leverage our Contact Us form. That is a place where we will get your questions directly and we'll be able to engage with you and answer them the best way possible. Thank you so much for watching.
We really appreciate all the work that you do.
And we can't wait to explore what you and your learners create together.
Happy building.